Hi Manusha. Hey guys, this is Manusha. If I remove all the positions and the roles and experiences and stuff
Good.
from you,
Yeah.
and now I'm asking you to intro yourself. How would you
Okay.
do an intro to me? When I talked to you last time, I think 2 weeks back, uh, you were telling me a crazy thing. That is, so that time when I do a video, even my parents scold me. My friends, troll me at the maximum. So likewise, let's say if I'm giving you a business that's not properly built, or that's in a very low level.
I mean, if you're starting out today, how would you?
So
In 2 days, I sent 400 requests.
we are gonna solve others' problems, but when we solve the problem, we are gonna have problems. That's 100% right?
I'll ask you a question. Okay, I think
Hi Manusha. Hey guys, this is Manusha, a really good friend of mine. I really want to have a really good convo with Manusha, and also I've had really good convos already with him. So this one is going to be public. That's the difference. But in this episode, I'm trying to cover most of the sales and sales psychology, and also few tips for youngsters like me to handle problems and going through this entrepreneurship journey. Okay. So if you guys feel this kind of like episodes matters for you all, do a support and do a comment and show your support. So that may help me to bring more and more people who really inspired me. Okay, so to start off with Manusha, let me give you an intro about him. So I met him like three years back in an accelerator program. Uh, at that time, I was so noob. Still, I'm a noob. But that time, I really didn't have any clue about building stuffs and stuff. But this guy here, the way he looked at the problems and the way he was
I'll
solving.
interrupt you a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this like because I'll talk about myself later.
Okay.
Right? I was also a noob. It wasn't like I was in entrepreneurship or solving problems at a scale that big at all. I was like extremely new to.
Okay. So yeah, okay. Then we all know, but this guy is a little ahead from me. But the way he looks into problems and solving, especially the most admired skill from him is the way he talk to people. I really like it because that time I was so introverted person. I don't talk to people that easily, and but that's one of the greatest skill you can have as a business owner or an entrepreneur.
I think that's a good skill to have as a human.
Human, yeah. True. So that's what I really admire from him, and I'm really happy to have him here.
I'm very happy to be here also.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start off with the first question.
Yeah.
Manisha. So if I remove all the positions and the roles and experiences and stuff
Good.
from you,
Yeah.
and now I'm asking you to intro yourself. How would you
Okay.
do an intro to me?
It's good in this environment because there's like multiple puzzles on the wall that are complete. Because I've always kind of seen myself as a person that loves solving puzzles, right? And I kind of put that aspect of what I think about myself into my personality, right? So you can just call me a puzzle solver. Oh, yes. The very simple terms. I like complex problems and I like looking at complex problems in a very unconventional way.
Okay. When I talked to you last time, I think 2 weeks back, uh, you were telling me a crazy thing. That is, when you move hands like this, people who you talk to, they will listen to you, and they like.
There were 10 minutes also the small hand gesture of doing this. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you said that's a good thing. So likewise, tell me about those kind of like small stuffs which we can
Yeah.
have done.
That's totally to do with this thing called NLP,
Okay.
which is natural language processing for all of human society, right? But I don't think that's important at all, because those small tactics are to kind of get you one step ahead to where you want to lead the conversation.
Okay.
But how you lead a conversation is purely by listening,
Okay.
right? And to do that, you have to be very attentive to what the other person is saying. You obviously have to remove all these preconceived notions in your head about what you think, and because we are always coloring the situation with our opinion.
Yeah.
Right? So if you get rid of that and then just listen very attentively to what the other person is saying, I think there's a better pathway to continuing that conversation in, and even leading the conversation into getting what you want.
Now it's my 4.5 year. Okay, in Colombo. Okay, I'm here for 4.5 years. So before this, I was 100% from Central Province. So in our region, I'll tell the real scenario.
Yeah.
In our region, I studied in Tamil's community, and there's no such very big international schools there. And I've never seen a networking event in my life until I turn 16 and a half. So until I come to Hats, I have never seen networking, and I've never seen people talking about entrepreneurship, startup, solving problems, things like this. But what I have seen is the successful people like Bill Gates, and some small news about Sri Lankan people who build this, build this, build this. But that's all we see. So coming from that kind of a place and looking at the people here, that automatically, created a huge insecurity on me, even on the program which we were participated. I practice a lot even to, start a conversation with a person. Like they are also a startups, very starting stage level person. But I don't know what brought me to that kind of a level.
Are you asking why that happened?
So not why happened. So this is the scenario. So just because of this, it took me almost like 2 years, uh, 2 years of practice to talk in a level which I am talking right now, right? So for a person like me or the community,
Yes.
what would you what's your takeaway?
What is my secret sauce to?
Yeah,
Okay.
and how you look at it?
Yeah. So I was also, when I was a child, I was very extroverted. But as soon as I went to school, I became extremely introverted because the environment was very unusual.
Okay.
So during my childhood, I used to I used to live in a place close to where I'm living right now, but it was more rural.
Okay.
Right? There were uh, plenty of farms, then cows and cattle and all of this. So I used to be the kid that used to go after cows, and I used to fly kites in the fields and do all of this. But what happened was I realized that at a very young age, if I isolate myself, then I'm not going to form these connections that I really want.
100%. Correct.
Right? So putting myself in this little isolation island didn't work out. So I was kind of forced to go
And I
and
can relate.
interact, and then, yeah, because I was not ready to do any of it, but I was forced into it. So I kind of took that with me wherever I went, and I forced myself on purpose so that I would go and have a conversation and then see if I can get something out of it. Right?
Correct.
And this was immensely helpful because the first startup I worked at, I went and pitched them
Okay.
to hire me.
Okay.
Right?
Cool.
They weren't hiring at the time.
Okay.
They had
There
yeah,
was no hiring.
there was no
Oh,
hiring.
nice.
So I went and I pitched myself to them, and I told them that I have zero skills.
Okay.
Right? I just dropped out of med school. I just went through the fire starter program at Hatch. I have zero skills that are marketable to you guys. Like, there's no value in me joining, but I'm an extremely fast learner. Right? I have good skills when it comes to catching up with what I have to do, and like it takes very minimal time for me to train, which in hindsight I can tell you was not true, right? Because I didn't know what I was going to be trained in. That's one thing. The second thing was I didn't know the environment. So again, I had to kind of push myself to go and have a conversation and then teach myself for them to kind of bring me in and then join their team. At the time, that startup was about 4 or 5 people,
Okay.
right? But they were making money and they didn't need to have me, right? But
Also,
yeah,
you pitched.
yeah. I pitched and I kind of asked for a slightly higher salary than what they were paying the interns
Okay.
at the time.
Okay.
And then CEO was really good, and I still admire and talk to him to this day. He raised the salaries of the other interns to match mine, right? So as soon as I went in, there was a little bit of impact to me and the team. So that was very helpful, right?
Got it.
So yeah,
That's cool. Here's an example. Let's say the YouTube video. When I start YouTube, 2019, I mean, in terms of look, language, the way I'm speaking, everything was so poor. But I
so
never had
this whole thing with
yeah,
the accent, right? Like I see so many people having low confidence because of how they speak. Yeah, right. And like you'll get to meet this guy. I'll recommend that he do an episode with you. He built a small like uh, platform where it's called Accent Bridge. Okay, Khan built it. He built it just for fun, but it was very helpful. He kind programmed AI into a platform where you could speak in a British accent. Like you could train yourself to speak in a British accent. Okay, because he thought that was very pleasing to the ear, right? But what I found out throughout all my sales calls and conversations and everything is the accent doesn't matter at all, right? There's zero.
bro. I would say this is one of the uh, greatest point I'm hearing from a great communicator. Okay. I think this will be really, really useful for the people who are watching.
The accent doesn't matter at all. It's what you say and how you say it is the only thing that matters. Because I've had conversations where I felt like because foreigners are so used to speaking in how they speak, like when it comes to pronunciation of words and all of that, you feel a little bit inferior speaking their language.
Yeah.
Like if somebody were to speak Sinhala to me or Tamil to you, we'd outclass them by a fucking mile, right? Like they wouldn't even compare if they're from another country.
100%.
But having a little bit of confidence that you can have like a very fluent and fluid conversation with another person in their language should give you enough confidence to get past the accent, right? You shouldn't think about it at all.
So that time when I do a video, even my parents call me, my friends, troll me at the maximum, but still I didn't give up. I had, I really don't mind anyone who is around me. I just do whatever I want. But now I'm missing, I seriously miss because
Do you know
now
why?
they have a responsibility and stuff.
Yeah, so that's the thing.
Pretty hard.
Uh, Again, coming back to the thing we started with, don't set expectations for yourself so that you fail. People have a very because again, like uh, uh, the first startup I worked at was Metana, which is a Web3 bootcamp. But they're doing very well now, and I mean they did very well in the past also. But that's a whole other thing. But with the students I've met, were all coding people, like everybody from engineering background, CS, and all of that. They had, even though they were from the US and Germany and like every other part in the world that speaks or supposed to speak fluent English, they had a hard time communicating because they were insecure about, oh, what to say.
Okay.
They weren't insecure about the accent or anything, fluency or any of that. They were very insecure about what to say because they wanted to get into the program, right? And I had to give them a little bit of confidence to open up and share,
Bro.
right? It's those little, which is why I said, like, listening is the biggest tool a salesperson can have ever. You shouldn't, and it's the foundation that sales is built on. You listen and then you talk about how it would impact the other person. Don't disregard listening at any point because honestly, it's the only thing that matters, in my opinion.
Got it. So let's get back to the sales.
What?
When I start in the beginning, you know me for 3 years. The first solution which I was building is just because I want to build something. So I was building a education system, and I've coded and did the UI UX. We are running a community without even thinking about all these business models and pricing models, especially the lean canvas which we learned. So I don't know any of this, but I just built that, and it was running. And until some point, I didn't realize, okay, what is the end goal? How can I make money from it? I didn't realize it. So that was the first business which I built. Then demographics. So I realized the problem there, and then I started building demographics, where helping businesses to tell their story online. So this is the basic concept. So I'm helping the businesses to telling the story online through websites or social media or whatever the content. That worked out, and that's also worked out. By the work quality, definitely not by the pricing strategy or sales strategy or anything, because I'm zero at it. Trust me. So work was good. Still, up to now, still we don't have a good sales strategy. Trust me.
Right.
Up to now, every month we get clients. Every month, every single month, minimum we get 2 to 3 clients. Word of mouth, just because of the reference from the previous work. This happening last 4 years. From the next it's coming December, it's fourth year. So this happened. So for a person like me, uh, how will you advise to look at this sales?
This is how a sales funnel is usually built. On the top end of the funnel, there's prospecting, right? And then when you come to the next step, it's qualification. So you go talk to 100 people, right? Out of 100 people, if 10 people qualify and meet your standards, you talk to those 10 people and see, out of those 10 people, who can you provide the most value so that they pay you the most amount of money, right? That is how a sales funnel should normally be built, especially when it's B2C, right? Because what you're doing is you're going and talking to individual people and then having a conversation with them, seeing if they're interested. So signaling matters, right? You throw out signal. If the other person catches that signal, then they throw out signal saying, they're interested. Take it to the next phase. You start qualifying them on whatever criteria you need for sales. What is your criteria for sales? We'll have a conversation about that part. Okay. If I'm joining your program,
Okay.
what do I need to have in terms of skills, in terms of location, in terms of
Persona.
No. ICP is out of this.
Okay.
Because ICP is for prospecting.
Okay.
Right? Qualifying, you should look at what value they can give you, so you can give them the most from your program or community or whatever.
Okay.
Right? So ideally, you should have a list of things that qualifies this person to move on to the next phase.
So likewise, let's say if I'm giving you a business that's not properly built, or that's in a very very low level.
I mean, if you're starting out today, how would you?
So you're starting out. How would you go out and find your customers? That is the first question I would.
Right. So then ICP matters. So for the people that don't know, ICP is ideal customer persona. Is ICP.
Okay.
Right. So when you say ideal customer persona, what are you looking at for that person to have so that you can go have a conversation, right? Ideally, what you should do is you should go and see and find out where your customer base is. It could be LinkedIn groups, could be just even just very basic connections on LinkedIn where you're sending requests and with a message saying, hey, are you interested? Because I saw this on your profile. Are you interested? Can we have a conversation about it? You're not trying to sell something right off the bat. You're trying to see if this person has an interest in like the field you're selling in, right? Yeah. So if you get that interest, if you see, okay, they're heavily invested in for your thing coding, right? They're second year at some university, and the coding courses are slow normally at universities because it has to drag on for 4 years, right? Otherwise, the university doesn't get paid. If that person is interested, what you do is then you ask the person questions. So, for the people listening, the best book to read on asking questions is this book called The Mom Test by Robert Fitzpatrick. He talks about how you can ask open-ended questions. Okay. Right. So an open-ended question is something like, would you be interested in pursuing a career in this field? Okay. Let's say as a front-end developer, right? Would you be interested in pursuing? And like, I just want to know why you want to do that, right? Because there's so many options now that you can go be a front-end developer without even learning how to code. Like there's so many AI tools that you can use. I just want to understand why you do this. Asking a question that doesn't require the answers yes or no, so you get more information out of that person. It's an open-ended question, right? Once you ask these open-ended questions, you have enough knowledge about the person, okay, to go ahead and see if they qualify for the next stage of your sales funnel. That's right. Ideally, what you should again do is go on Reddit, go on Facebook if you can, go on IG, like all these places that you think your customer base is there, right? Have enough conversations with the people to get an idea of who the ICP is, right? The other thing is you can, so the guy who wrote .com Secrets, okay, I can't remember his name. He was the mentor for Alex Hormozy, right? Okay. In his book, .com Secrets, he explains how to form an ICP, which in his terms of doing it, he does it using values, right? What kind of values do you want this person to have? Do they not want to fail, right? How do they look at, like, what is their outlook on life? What is their outlook on work? So he qualifies in a different, so depending on the field you're in or the industry you're in, you should kind of form your own little formula of how you get an ICP. It comes with experience. It doesn't. Okay. You have to talk to enough people, right? Okay. You have to talk to enough people to understand where they are in life and what they want to do, because you can bridge the gap between where they are and what they want to do. Got it. Right? Let's say I want to be a backend developer. I come to you and I tell you, or you and I have a conversation, you tell me that, there's this great little community you have that, you do these things. And then because I want to be a backend developer, I'll tell you, I'm looking into that field. I'm trying to be a backend developer. So would you be interested in kind of sharing more about what you do so that I can see? That is a signal. Me asking you to tell more about what you do so that I can get more information and they can evaluate by themselves if they qualify. Right. So having those conversations in the very beginning is extremely crucial, right? And not everybody is willing to talk. Yeah. So you have to do a volume. Like, I broke LinkedIn at my first internship. Okay. So how I broke LinkedIn was back in the day, uh, 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago. LinkedIn didn't have a limit of conversations that you can have when you send connection requests, right? In 2 days, I sent 400 requests. Okay. That's volume. Okay. Right. And I had about 100 conversations.
Okay, 400 requests is fine, but you had
I
100
had 100 conversations.
Okay, that's nice.
To understand where these people are, right? When I say where these people are, I meant in their journey of wanting to get into Web3 and what their interests are. Would they be willing to spend money, right? And you don't have to directly go and ask, would you be willing to spend money, which is a huge turn off, because then
That,
it seems,
that's what I also want.
yeah, it seems like you're doing it for the money,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
So ideally, those conversations, you have to navigate it a little bit with more little bit attention, because if you come out saying, uh, would you be interested in paying $1,000 to do this, right? It's an immediate turn off, because they're focused on the number,
Yeah.
right? One of the questions I usually ask is, what do you think is a fair value for me to get you from this place where you are, where you don't know coding or where you don't have any industry influence, to being a good coder, learning how to build and doing all of these things? Then it's justified, because I'm making them see
See,
where they could be,
bro.
right? So when that happens, like when you kind of paint an image, which is another thing, right? So one of the tactics in sales is, when you talk to a person, you can use words like, can you imagine being a person who knows how to code, right? And then knowing how to build.
Yeah.
And you paint an internal picture for them, right? To make them see where they want to be, right?
Yeah.
And then justifying that with the price. Always lead with value, and then
You can justify most of the Apple's campaigns.
yeah. Because
I mean, that's what they would as
yeah,
first thing.
because if you lead with price, it seems a little bit like a little bit of a scam.
Yeah.
Right?
Apple is Apple never do that, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they
even though I,
price at
because
the
like I'm like a fully converted to Samsung,
uh,
right? And 'cause I use a MacBook, but the whole other thing.
Yeah.
I feel like the iPhone thing is a scam now,
Yeah, bro. This is scam.
right? So I feel like
100.
that conversation is for another time. But if you lead with value, it's very crucial to understand, the reason you have these conversations is to find out why your service or product matters to the other person,
Yeah.
not to immediately sell.
Yeah.
If you're immediately selling, then great ICP, right? If you're selling in one conversation, great ICP. And you have a tendency to create urgency, right? Okay, how you do that is, let's say the beginning of the boot camp is coming up next week.
Okay.
Right? You can tell the person it's coming up in a week, right? Would you wait? Because every cohort takes about 3 months.
Hmm.
So you have to focus on the people in the cohort. That way, you don't, like, you provide enough value for them and attention, and see if they missed anything, to get them through that journey. Because
Yeah.
ideally, after they paid, you have to look after your customer, which is something I think you've done very well, because you're getting enough referrals through word of mouth.
Yeah.
If you don't, if you don't even signal to the new person that you're paying attention, right? They feel like, even if I come in the next cohort, right, this guy is just going to leave me, right? I'm going to have to work with people I haven't talked to in the team yet, right? So it makes them a little bit scared to approach the upcoming deadline.
Yeah.
So what you do is, you would tell them that, okay, there's a cohort coming up in a week.
So, like, just correcting you. So actually, we could okay, that stuff is like stuff like 2, 3 years back.
No, it's
So,
fine. I'm
yeah.
just giving you an example so that
Example.
you and I can.
Got it, got it. Yeah.
So again, going back to the urgency part, if you tell them that it's starting in a week, but I won't be able to give you the attention you need if you don't join this week.
Hmm.
If you join in another 3 months, then I can give you the same amount of attention that I would be able to give to the people that are joining the cohort now.
Okay.
That creates a little bit of urgency. That FOMO is very real, right? The fear of missing out is very real when it comes to business, which is a good way to create a little bit of urgency, right?
Yeah.
So put those aspects together and then close the sale.
So you are more into you like B2B or AC more?
B2B. I love B2B.
I mean,
B2C, the thing, I'll tell you this. Because of my time at Metana, I had a huge call volume thanks to the marketing guys. Right? Exceptional marketing team, especially Khan.
Okay.
B2B conversations aren't as easy as B2C conversations because people don't realize this very important aspect. B2B, your customer and your user are two different people. Right? So customer is the person that pays you. Right? Customer is the person that pays you.
Yeah.
User is the person that uses your product or service.
Yes.
Usually the customer is the boss of the user. So you have to convince either top-down approach or bottom-up approach where you go and talk to the customer first and then convince him to get the users to start using your product.
Yeah.
Or you go to the user and then start convincing the user to go and talk to the customer from the internal conversations.
Yeah.
And then convince him to buy it for the rest of the users. It's a lot more trickier than having one-on-one conversations with B2B clients. B2C clients.
Yeah.
And then moving forward to closing the sale.
That's good. So sales. Now let's talk a little different topic.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So now when it comes to let's say building stuffs, solving problems. Yeah, we are going to solve others' problems, but when we solve the problem, we are going to have problems. That's 100% right? So mentally, like what kind of practices or what kind of approaches we can have it in the part of failures. Definitely, we are going to have.
I know failures. I don't think I don't think anybody should disregard failures.
Okay.
I'll start off with this. I love this comedian from the UK called Jimmy Carr.
Okay.
But during one of his stand-up comedy shows, he audience member asks a question saying, "What does rich people understand that poor people don't?" Right? And then Jimmy Carr is a very wealthy comedian, right? So he says, "I don't understand your question." Right?
Okay.
The guy from the audience could be a guy from the middle class society. He asked the question saying, "What does rich people understand that low class people don't understand?" And Jimmy Carr said, "I don't understand your question." And he gave a very cool one-liner. He said, "Problems are a feature, not a bug." Right? Problems are features, not a bug.
Yeah.
Because people who usually are not experienced dealing with problems think of it as a bug, something to fix immediately.
Yeah.
Feature is you use that problem to get better. Right? So failure is very similar. You use the thing you failed at because I failed. So I said I sent 400 connection requests. I had 100 conversations. I failed 300 times. Right?
Yeah.
But I learned from those 300 times how to initiate a conversation with the 100 people. Right? So this is how I A/B tested. I said this is very interesting if you're sending out LinkedIn requests.
Yeah.
You open up your phone and check if somebody has sent a LinkedIn, or you can send it like ask a friend to type out gibberish, right? Just there's about 300 characters I think you can send with a LinkedIn request.
Yeah.
Just type whatever conversation or anything. Just you can just smash the keyboard if you want and then like fill the text box and send the connection request. If you open up the phone, you can see with that request how much of that message you can see from the phone. If you open up the laptop, you can see if I can see the full message or if I can only see part of the message. So I used that to get the hook. Right?
I like it, bro.
Yeah. To create interest, I used that small text block.
Yeah.
So I'll show you right now. think I have a LinkedIn request from somebody. Yeah. Yeah. So see this guy's message,
Okay.
right?
Okay. I will hide the
Yeah, it's fine. You can take a picture. So that part of the message is the only thing I can see. If I don't create interest from that part of the message, then I'm never going to go ahead and have a conversation with them because they're not going to accept the request. But so I figured that part out. I think it's 128 characters if I remember correctly, with spacing. And I used that to create the 100 conversations. I failed 300 times, right? Imagine 2 days of just grinding and then, finding people and you're burning through leads, all of this. But finding this crucial point helps me get the next hire. But yeah, correct. So it's a feature, not a bug. Don't think of fail. Have Ted Lasso, dude. That TV series is crazy. There's a TV series called Ted Lasso. He's a guy from America. He went to England to be a soccer coach. Right. The US doesn't have soccer, so it was a huge mismatch for him. One of the quotes that he has is, when it comes to failure, have the memory of a goldfish. A goldfish has a 10-second memory. Okay. Right? Forget about it and move on to the next thing. If you dwell on it, you're going to psychologically batter yourself, and then put you yourself are going to put you in a corner, and then just keep on beating yourself for nothing, like over nothing. Failures should be the most common thing up until you succeed. Don't let one small misstep stop you from going to the next one.
Got it. So, is it good to compare ourselves? Not ourselves. Let's say we build a business. What I mean by ourselves is even a person can be a business, like a personal brand.
Yes.
Okay. So, is it good to compare ourselves with our competitors?
Why would you do that?
Uh, let's say, for example, a business. Let's take
Okay.
a digital marketing.
I'll turn this question on you and I'll ask.
Yeah.
In your mind, right? Do you have enough confidence to think that you're the best? Not arrogance, confidence.
Yeah.
Right? If you have arrogance, then it's not going to have you're not going to have a good relationship with anybody. Right? Pride and arrogance you should leave it at the door when you come in to work. But if you have confidence without arrogance, right? Do you think you're the best?
Yeah, I'm the best.
Yeah, you can say it, right?
Yeah.
If you're the best, why would you care about the opinion of the second best?
That's true. 100%.
Because opinions are still opinions. Like, it's open, right? Opinions are opinions, but other people are going to think you can't control it. They're going to think it anyway. You can shape the perception of it, right? You can make yourself seem bigger than you are, which is perception, right? But why would you compare yourself when you're already thinking that you're the best? Correct. Winners have this very crucial mentality of thinking they're the best, but the other end of that spectrum is thinking they need to learn more to keep on being the best.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're competitive, right? If you've done any kind of sport, being competitive, right? Or in business or anywhere in life, like even playing Uno can be competitive, right? Why would you want to compare yourself to the person that's doing less better than you are? You should compare yourself to who you were so that you can keep being the best.
Correct. Correct.
So to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's never made sense. Why? Because like only I can be me. Like, other people can try to be me, but if I'm truly who I say I am, and if I truly do the work that I say I can is possible, why would it matter if somebody else doing anything else when they can't do the same and deliver the same results.
Correct. Correct.
Like honestly, I'm telling you, it doesn't register in my brain the same as it would normally for other people because I don't care.
That's good.
Ignorance is bliss when it comes to this.
Yeah. True. True. How do you see this investment placement and putting our own money into bootstrapping?
Okay, I've seen both sides of this.
Yeah.
So
That's why I'm asking.
yeah. Okay. Ideally, because I like both.
Mm.
I don't have a preference when it comes to because it's situational, right?
Yeah. I want to know like what are the situations
Right.
you go for an investment raising, and also what are the solutions for bootstrapping?
Okay. Ideally, what I think is you should have enough users if you want to go for an investment like pre-seed and seed. You can still people do because pre-seed and seed investments don't come from the product or the service, right?
Yeah.
They come from the confidence the founder has, and if they can show that confidence to the investor that they can pull it off somehow.
Yeah.
Right. Bootstrapping is a little bit harder, right? Because you're sorry, because you're playing around with your time and your money and then your effort. Nobody's holding you responsible, right? If you're responsible for somebody else's money, you be a little bit more motivated to kind of go and do it, right? So you should still have the same amount of grit and fire in yourself to do it if you don't have outside money, right? But I think service you can do without investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a difference. I'm talking about like a product building.
Product building you can bootstrap if you have like a year's worth of money saved up so that you can YC calls this the ramen startup. Okay. We'll call it like Prima or Maggi noodle startup.
Yeah.
Right.
Ramen. Yeah.
Yeah. So instant noodles, right? A ramen startup is you have enough money to at least go and eat instant noodles and keep on building, right? So ideally, you should have a little bit of financial responsibility, right? And then spend it very carefully so that you don't run out of and you don't burn out of whatever funds you have.
Right.
Which is also very motivating because if you see your funds declining and you haven't made any profits or you haven't talked to customers, it gives you enough motivation to kind of, pick yourself up and go do the work.
Sure. I realized how much finance is important just by looking at Bhanuka's stories. It's actually, it's also like 2.5 years back. Okay. He just like the way he explains, the way he, everything is like he talk about numbers.
Yeah.
For a person like me, I've never seen that. So then only I realized, okay, how much is finance is important. And when we, think about, building something, how much we have to think on the finance side, because at the end of the day, that matters, right?
Yes.
So in this case, I took Bank as one of the example. I know like most of the, I mean, every successful founder, they are good at finance. That's why it's successful because the business is relied on the money, definitely. So from your end,
It's money is an important aspect.
yeah, I'm telling the
I'll tell you the 3 rules of being good at business.
Yeah.
So these are the 3 things that you have to learn.
Sure.
First, you have to learn what the law is, like business law, right? Understand where you are protected and where you're not. Second is money. Third is management, right? If you understand those 3 in a small scale or big scale, you have enough to go and do some.
Yeah.
But what was your question?
So the question is, so yeah, money is one of the major part in the business. So
how do you get better at it? Is that what you ask?
no,
Because it's a learnable skill.
like when you fail at finance, there's a definitely you will fail when you trying out, right?
Yeah.
So when you fail at finance, what I mean by fail is loss. So you're facing a loss in your business, but still you think the idea is good. You have a good point of like a customer. Like, what kind of a strategy would you take?
Mindset. So there's multiple. I'll give you more than one answer to this, but the very first thing is having patience and believing in yourself enough that you'll pull through.
So not just adding to this.
Yeah.
I think everywhere in this every cases we discussed, mindset matters a lot, right?
Oh yeah. Because you have that's the number one tool you have, right? That's what makes you go and do things. That's what makes you procrastinate. That's what makes you, want to bang your head against the wall. It's mindset. But the very first thing is mindset. You have to believe in yourself enough to think that you'll pull it off. That second is, okay, if you don't have the money to do this, you need to go and see what your options are that you can supplement the business. Right? I think if you're irresponsible with how you handle money, you shouldn't take a loan for the business because you're already bad with money. You don't know how to spend well. You're terrible at, keep like, because why money matters in a business is purely, I think, workforce. You have to pay the people that you're employing.
Yeah.
Right. And it matters to the employees because they don't come there for fun. Right. They come to learn, work, a little bit of play, and earn.
Yeah.
Right. So you shouldn't neglect the fact that your employee should be paid. And then the third one is if you're bad at it, don't hand it off to somebody you think is good at it and leave it to them. Either learn from that person, right? Or hand it to them to see how they handle it. If they do a good job of it, which is a huge risk, because if they don't do a good job, you're fucked, right? If they do a good job of it, you can learn by looking at them. You can ask them enough questions. You can like kind of shadow them and be behind them and see how they would navigate the business out of a situation like this. You can cut down the costs. Sometimes people have to let go of some employees that aren't working out because that's just not, it's not personal, it's just business, right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't mix the two together because I've made that mistake in the past. I put up with enough bullshit from a founder to stay with the business when I should have left like 6 months before. And because it ruins the relationship, it ruins your work ethic, it ruins your health, all of these things. Like you don't need that. If it's that moment of failure, or my thing is just go back and learn. There is enough resources on the internet this like at this time to go and pick yourself up from a position. Like you can at least ask chat. It's GPT is not going to have all the answers.
Perplexity.
Yeah. But you can at least ask to get an idea about what you should do.
Right.
Very simple. I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
I think this, I want, I kind of, on the way here, I was thinking about what I should ask you. And the one thing I kind of landed on was,
Sure.
I'll give you an example of the hardest thing I went through in life. Right. And then you can tell me what you think is the hardest thing, because it's very grounding to me. I never lose confidence in myself because of all the things that have happened. I was going through, I was hiking with a bunch of friends through the Knuckles mountain range, and this was the first day. We were supposed to be there for 3 days. Halfway through, this is in the middle of the forest. There's literally nobody out there. You're traveling with a bunch of people. There's guideposts to tell you, where to go so you don't get lost and all of that. I had kidney stones.
Okay.
In the middle of the forest. And there was no doctors, there's no medicine, right? And I had to bear up with it. There's nothing else I can do because it felt like hot iron rod being poked into
Yeah,
my
and
kidney side. And I kept saying this phrase, which is a will of 1,000 people. I kept yelling it out in the mountains. Like there's literally nobody around, so I couldn't care less. Other than the people I was hiking with, they understood. So I was yelling, "Will of 1,000, will of 1,000, will of 1,000." Like every step I took, I was like, "Will of 1,000." Just my brain was getting hard. I could feel, right? And then we made it to the top of the mountain, and I still had to put up with it. Water was great, by the way. So it's extremely fresh water. And it took 3 days. The total trip took 3 days. I had to come down from the mountain, still just yelling. So it's not. So this is how the mountain range is, right? You climb up. You have to go all the way down.
yeah,
You keep climbing up and then go down.
yeah, yeah.
So it's never. It's not just like an upward journey, right?
Knuckles.
And that made me ready. I felt like, because like when I came home, I have enough medicine and then like pain management and all of that. So I got through. But that made me ready for any challenge in my head I think I couldn't overcome. What was that moment for you?
When I was in scholarship, grade 5 scholarship, I was really good performer. I got distinct 7th or something and really good score at that time. But before the exam, like 3 months ago, I had this huge virus fever, and that came. I mean, that virus went here.
Your spinal cord?
Right. It was supposed to go and hit my head.
Right.
So that 7 days, I got admitted in my hospital.
As is it like meningitis?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
It's called when a virus usually goes for, because Thasa knows, for the people that don't have. I dropped out of med school.
Med school. Yeah. So yeah, that was I supposed to say.
So usually when it goes to the brain, it's called meningitis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to go.
Right.
Then my mom was with me. I was staying in the Nalapatiya main hospital. I was just 9.5 year old or something. So that time they said we want to operate and get that something out of it, something like that back.
Right.
So that 7 days they operated it and they get something they did in the back. I still I don't know what is it, but for that 7 days, doctor said you can't move.
Right.
Your body has to be flat.
You need
And
enough bed rest.
so my mom, I was 9.5 year old. She stayed with me from like the full day for 7 days. She was carrying me on her hands like this,
Right.
like getting me into washrooms and everything. She's just taking care of me. And what's the craziest? I still don't know how she did it. What kind of a even my partner will do. I don't know that, but that's something I can't still believe. But most special thing is at that time, next to my bed, there is a kid, 5-year-old kid. She's having the fever. I think she's in a very, very critical stage. I think in the end of her life, a kind of a stage. I'm getting some foods from my family and all, their relatives and coming and giving me and stuff. She's sharing everything with her. So at that point, she could have ate by herself or she could have just given to me and let me enjoy it. But she was giving me that. Then at some point, I couldn't, bro, mom, why are you giving everything to her? I can't just keep.
Yeah, you couldn't
aside.
understand. Yeah.
Then she just told me one thing. Still, I remember that. What she said was, when you give others, when you start giving others without expecting anything, you will get it back somewhere in your life. It's not that she didn't say it in a way religious or anything. She said it from her heart.
Yeah.
So still I see that works in every area, right? In networking, business,
I had an obsession with, when I was younger, I had a very healthy and unhealthy obsession with reading about warriors from the past.
Okay.
So I have read about Achilles, Alexander the Great, uh, who was the guy at Constantinople. I can't remember his name. Caesar,
Mm.
and like even our own people, like King Tutankhamun and all of these things. What I have found common, and like I love seeing this because I see it in founders all the time. the best and the biggest and the most baddest, like, the warriors of the past were all mama's boys.
Okay.
Right? They had a huge impact on their life because of their mother. Right? And I'm a mama's boy through and through. I love my mother as much as I possibly could. And I've kind of taken that as an inspiration to be great also. That's true. Because if that one aspect I can see in all these people that became great, I also associated myself with that. So that I see it in you also, because every person I know that has gotten into being a founder has been a mama's boy. Very easy indicator, right? They should have a metric on the fucking internet somewhere, like how many founders are mama's boy.
Yes. You should research about it. I want to get all of these answers from him again. I've talked all like the most of the things already. Then 3 years back when we having a chat in the cafe, and even after like 2 weeks back also we had the the same conversation. But I want to
Or
you guys to see.
yeah, because like I've told, remember the dinner from Just English. One of the first conversations he had with me was, so because I work with two founders who are the complete opposite. Like, what are the differences? Because he wanted to be a better founder, right? And the very first thing I told him was, look after the people that work for you. Right? Don't neglect the people that work for you.
Yeah.
It's very crucial that you keep a good professional relationship and a small personal relationship with it.
Correct. 100%.
You shouldn't, one, you should have some boundaries. You shouldn't mix up the two, right? And then you should always value their opinion, even though if the opinion is completely useless, at least value it a little bit, because you never know if the other person is going to have a good opinion in the future. Okay, if you're completely disregarding it, then you're going to lose out on potentially a good idea or some good advice.
Yeah. I think we have just we have discussed most of the points. Uh, I mean, whenever I talk to this guy, I feel, so fresh, and still we are not uh, in the end. Or I mean, yeah, we are there. So I feel that energy from this guy. So, bro, again, it's not a question.
Yeah.
So, uh, in this process, in this entrepreneurship, work culture, mindset, like everything is there, right? So is it necessary for someone to know everything like this, or is it always the enjoyment of learning in the process?
Yeah, the the goal is the journey, not the destination, because the journey is what takes you to the destination. Yeah. So you should focus more on where you're going as to where you're going to end up. Yeah. Right? You should have an idea about where you're going to end up, but keep it as an idea so that you create the pathway to going there. Like, eventual outcome, do you know Naval Ravikant?
No.
Bro, fuck, man. Naval Ravikant has a 3-hour podcast episode on how to get rich.
Okay.
He is one of the best investors on earth. Very grounded person. It's very in line with how people are, and like he's very spiritual also. So like it's not just the business aspect. You're also getting to understand how these people think in different uh, ways as to conduct themselves to be that great. Because he was an immigrant living with his mom in the US from when he was small.
Okay.
I think the dude is what, like 300, 400 million now, right? And he created this thing called AngelList, which is an investor platform.
Yeah. Agency.
Yeah, AngelList is Naval Ravikant.
Okay.
Yeah. He has a book also called the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, or the Almanac of Naval. He has put that on a website for free. Anybody can go and download the PDF.
Okay, guys, go and download every.
I think you can like leave the link.
Okay, sure. Oh.
And that book, man, has like you don't need the second part of the book until you're, somewhat successful, because that second part is he's talking about how to conduct yourself in a very peaceful way. You don't have to be always on attack mode. But because the second part of the question, the second part of the book starts the question: if you're so smart, why aren't you happy? why why haven't you figured out how to be happy? And he goes on into like extreme detail about why this happens and how you can get out of it. But the first part of the book, man, he breaks down how you can get what you want, like in the shortest amount of time. And I've taken that, like I read it multiple times, and I like made an actual like a mathematical equation out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll show it to you. I have it. So I have a cork board at home.
Okay.
When I wake up, that's the first thing I see. So I pin all these things that I want to.
Okay.
It's like, I'll send you a picture.
Sure. No worries.
So this is what it looks like. Right. So the Eisenhower matrix is on the bottom. This is basically how I decide if it's important or not, like if I should do something. But this equation, man, has helped me so much. But how it starts is distinctiveness of specific knowledge.
Okay.
The term specific knowledge, I couldn't figure out for the life of me what he meant by specific knowledge. So I kept on reading his articles and all these posts that he came up with. Specific knowledge is what do you know, or what do you have an opinion of that other people in the industry don't have.
Okay.
Right? Like, do you know the problem you're solving deeply enough to have a new opinion than the rest of the people that know the problem?
Okay.
Right? You multiply that by leverage applied to that knowledge. So what is leverage? Right? That was the next question I had. Leverage is how can I use this knowledge to gain the maximum amount, if it's money or influence or whatever it is that I want. Like, how can I use this specific knowledge that I know to get what I want? So is it doing a podcast, LinkedIn post, right? Do I need to talk about it enough with other people?
Okay.
That's leverage. You're applying leverage to kind of push and have some momentum for yourself. And then you multiply that by how often your judgment is correct. Right? Have you been correct in the past about these things? Do you see enough information that you can make assumptions and then be correct in the future? Right? And then how singularly accountable you are for the outcome.
Okay.
Right? If you're singularly accountable, then nobody has to motivate you to do the thing, and you can get the results for yourself. Like, if it's going to make you money, then you get the money. Like,
Yeah.
you yourself get the money.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you have to deal with that. Right? Because it takes accountability. And then the next one is you multiply that by how much society values the problem you're solving. So TAM, total addressable market, is how much society values what you do. Right? And then you take all of that, you multiply all of that with how long you can keep doing it. How long can you keep solving this problem and providing value to other people? Right? And then you multiply that whole thing by how long you can keep improving through reading and learning. Right? This will give you the eventual outcome.
This is everything.
Yeah.
This is
It's the simplest formula, right? It'll give you the eventual outcome. You can put a picture of this, like, obviously, put a little bit of UI UX and then,
definitely.
yeah. But I'll send you the picture.
Sure.
But yeah, that's how I go about looking at products.
Great, bro. I think it's again, I'm so fresh, and this is not just an end. I'm gonna bring him here again and again for different talks. Definitely not just this sitting way. I wanna, do
We'll
some.
do a couple of walking conversations.
Definitely.
Do some exercise, or like we'll do some activities, and then
Definitely.
we'll have.
Okay, so let's end this chat. And thank you so much, guys, for watching.
Yeah, if you've listened up until this point,
Yeah, then you are something else and great. But thank you, guys. Thank you, Manusha.
no worries, man.
Thank you all so much.
See you guys.